Welcome, everyone, and thank you for attending our virtual conference this morning for State of the Warner School Address. I'm Dave Miller. I'm an associate faculty member at the University of Rochester's Warner School of Education, and I'm also the associate director of the Center for Learning in the Digital Age. And Sarah will be talking about that among the other centers later on in the conversation this morning. We have had lots of circumstances this spring, summer, and fall with the global pandemic and the social unrest that's been happening around the country. And also the challenges facing education and the importance of institutions of education to fulfill these roles is what may be considered the last great equalizer in society. To facilitate the fulfillment of individual potential, regardless of one's start in life. I've had the opportunity to work with Dean Peyre for the past several years in various capacities, and we're thrilled that she is now our dean at the Warner School. And during her first 100 days as dean, there have been all kinds of wonderful accomplishments and opportunities have come along. And I'm just so excited to introduce Sarah in just a moment and all the great things that she has done. So one of the things we would like you to do as we go along this afternoon is please put questions in the Q&A box. We will have Q&A a little bit later on. And we also have numerous folks from the National Council attending this morning, faculty members from the Warner School. So welcome to everyone, and we're very excited to get started. So with that, Sarah, I'd like to bring you on and welcome. And Dean Peyre, please take it away.
Well, thank you, Dave. I'm so excited to be here. And thank you, all of you, for taking time. I know you all have many things you can do, but I am so excited to share with you my initial impressions and the successes that I think consist of Warner. And I just love this picture of LaChase Hall. I'm sure some of you have seen it before. The beautiful sunny day, it reminds me of when I started on my journey. It was late spring, early summer, and just filled with a lot of promise and excitement. I do want to start up. Let's make sure I can move my slides. I do want to start and recognize the Scanlings. Bill and Margaret Scanling had a deep appreciation and love for Warner. And I think this quote from Bill Scanling says it all. There's no question in my mind that education is one of the greatest gifts that can be bestowed upon an individual. It enriches his or her quality of life. It deepens that person's intellectual and spiritual awareness and widens his or her sense of what life can hold. And I just love that. Mr. Scanling was very generous to us, Warner School, and hence we were named after his wife, Margaret Warner Scanling. And they believed that education was this deeply personal process and it was about the people. And what I've come to learn about Warner is that the heart of the Warner is the people. I can tell you about buildings and structures and programs, and I'm going to try to weave that in. But what the magic part of Warner is really the people who make it up. Our faculty, our staff, our students, our community partners, our alumni, and our campus community and the broader community of Western New York that we get to work within. It is the heart of Warner. And so you can't talk about the state of a school without talking about the people. And the first people I want to start with is really just a very big thank you. In this last year, Brian Brent and Karen DeAngelis have given their heart and soul to Warner and served in incredible leadership roles. Brian Brent, while also being the Senior Associate Dean for Graduate Studies, stepped in and served as interim dean, leading with humility and passion for the mission of Warner and where we're going. And Karen DeAngelis did an outstanding job making sure that our accreditation and all of our academic programs maintained and were held at the highest standard. And you'll see from our success that they did a tremendous job. But as such, with any leadership role, they transitioned late spring, early summer. And I'm so excited to share with you that I get to work hand in hand with Doug Jafrida and Martha Mock. These two individuals have stepped up into rounding out our dean's office, and the three of us are having fun. We're getting to know each other, we're figuring things out, and we all just have a real shared passion for the work that we're doing for our students and for our faculty. And so if you guys take away anything from today's talk, I hope that you take away that Warner is in great hands, because I'm very confident of that. To know Warner is to also understand how it's structured and how all the people fit together, if you will. And so I want to share about the people, but also talk about structure so that we all have a common baseline, if you will. So Warner's academic faculty program areas are split into 3 areas. The first is counseling and human development, chaired by Bonnie Rubenstein. Then we have educational leadership, chaired by Holly Manasseri. And then we have teaching and curriculum, chaired by Jeff Chopin. These 3 leaders come together on a regular basis and really are the champions of our faculty. They're really the champions of our graduate programs and do an outstanding job making sure that the school is in good direction, in good stead. And as such, we're a healthy organization. We've been able to recruit. And so I always love welcoming our new faculty members. If a state of a school is really about the last year, these 4 are new faculty members that joined us, and all of them are already making a deep impression on our students and on our community. Andrea Barrett is in educational leadership with a specialization in higher education. Zenon Boris is teaching and curriculum with a specialization in math education and also serving as an assistant director of LEDA. Christine Green, teaching and curriculum with a specialization in elementary education. And Scott McGinnis is in our counseling and human development with a specialization in mental health counseling. Now, let me tell you, it is hard starting a new job in the middle of COVID. It's hard not being able to come into the building and connect with your peers. And all 4 of these individuals have reached out and made a presence and are already starting a wonderful long career as educational leaders and educators. Now, the school is also structured. So if we have our 3 academic programs, we also have 4 centers. And I think of our centers as really maybe the external facing or the way that we connect out with communities and other partners throughout really the United States. The first is our Center for Professional Development and Educational Reform, led by Cindy Callard. It is our oldest center in that it was established originally, and it is the home of all of our professional development. Just last year alone, we trained over 1,000 teachers, regional teachers came through and did professional development programs with the center. Then we have our Center for Urban Education Success that was started initially out of a partnership with the East EPO, but now is really, I see, an umbrella for all of our urban educational interventions and research that's coming. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in the near future. The next is our Center for Disability and Education. And this is a powerhouse center run by Martha Mock that has contracts and grants throughout the state, really looking and helping educational structures and systems address issues of disability within educational systems. And then our newest center is really the vision of Rafaela Barassi, where she knew and could see ahead that the digital age was going to transform learning. And this was before COVID. And boy, has she been right. And we're so fortunate that that center is in place and has been really driving a lot of the transformation lately. In addition to our academic programs and our centers, we also have an amazing administrative team that is second to none. Our staff, which is organized really in these 7 divisions, work tirelessly every day to be kind of the gears within our engine that help keep us going. And I especially want to give a shout out to these 5 staff leaders who have, over the last 100 days, have leaned in and really said that they would pick up and they'd teach me and explain and help cover all of our bases. But Pam, Laura, Jason, David, and Preston are really the A team here. We now meet for senior staff meetings, and I'm just very appreciative of all they've done to help get me up to speed, if you will. We also have a new structure within Warner. We created our Warner Council on Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. And the committee is larger than the 7 people you see here on the screen, but these 7 are really leaders who are taking on specific roles within Warner to champion equity and inclusion. We have Andrea Cutt and Nahoko as our faculty diversity officers. Mary is our staff equity officer. And then you'll see our 4 student ambassadors, who this is a new role in Warner, and we had a very competitive application process, received numerous applications, and these 4 were selected to help come on and be our student ambassadors to help us address issues of equity inclusion within the Warner community. And I can't imagine us doing this work without their voice. Now, if that's a little bit of the structure and some of the people who are doing it, let's put that within our mission and the mission of where we're going. I think of the work of Warner as really being a tripart mission. The first is generating original scholarship and research. The second is engaging with communities, however you may define communities, whether it's the Rochester community, Monroe County, Western New York, or a national or international community that we have. And then the third is preparing outstanding professionals. We are a graduate degree program. We have over 700 students with master's, doctoral, and certificate programs. And core to our mission is helping prepare those outstanding professionals. So if we want to dive into work, I kind of think of it in this structure. And the first that I want to talk about is research. I like this picture, two young learners. I think they're budding scientists themselves, asking questions and inquiry. And their interaction, maybe Warner rubbed off on them a little bit. As you can see from this last year, Warner had its best grant funding year ever, 6.2 million in new grant funding, 5.4 of that is for research, with another 1.4 in pending grants. So hopefully we'll see maybe that number increase. To give you some perspective, 2018 was our second best grant year at 5.8 million, and our funding success rate is currently at 75%. This slide is important for a couple of reasons. One, we are relatively a smaller school of education in terms of number of faculty, and we are really, if you will, punching above our weight class, I think, and bringing in this much funding each year. Largely that's due to Ann Sisk, our grant administrator, who's partnering with our faculty. It's due to partnerships with our faculty and curiosity about taking on, seizing the moment or seizing the opportunity. And so let me share with you, this is some of the people who are engaging in some of this research. These 9 people all have received some type of federal funding just since I started working here. They have received NSF or NIH funding for the research that they're doing, which is just the pinnacle when it comes to academic productivity and research. A special shout out to Jeff Chopin, who's leading the way with 2 multi-million-dollar grants to look at math education. And we're really excited about Rafaela Barassi's grant that is about the future of work and is a collaboration with the Eastman School and the engineering school, HAGEM, to do some collaborative research. But watch out, keep your eye on all of these individuals because they're really helping drive our research agenda. In addition to research, we're also having excellence in scholarly output. David Hirsch, one of our most prolific faculty members, had a new book out this year, Opting Out, the Story of Parents' Grassroots Movement to Achieve Whole Child Public Schools. And this book received the 2020 AESA Critics' Choice Book Award. So not only is he prolific, he's being recognized for excellence. And thank you, David, for your leadership and your voice in this space. To tell you a little bit about our community engagement is really to understand our programs and how we work with and partner with the community. Many of you will know about our university's Educational Partnership Organization, or the EPO, with East High School. This is led by Sean Nelms. And you can see this is now in our 6th year with this relationship, and it's going strong. Our graduation rate has risen from 33% to 78% in 5 years. Tremendous. Talk about an outcome. We were lucky that we've been renewed for 3 more years so we can continue this relationship. I have to tell you, I had a chance to visit East 2 weeks ago and see for myself what a special place East High is, and to see what the whole team has built in terms of the culture and the connectivity and the expectations. The Center for Urban Education Success, CUES, is really spending time documenting and studying the school transformation to bring these practices nationwide. And if any of you are available, we do have a panel next week if you want to go into a deeper dive into the work that they're doing. And Sean, I really hope you appreciate the purple background because I was thinking of the Eagles. Another great community partnership that we have is Horizons at Warner, that is being led right now by Julia Postler. And Julia is infectious. I remember talking to her for the first time this summer, and I could feel her enthusiasm over the Zoom call. Horizons on the surface is a 6-week tuition-free summer program, but it feels so much more. It's a year-round program where she is just engaged and connected with all of those families. It supports about 150 students in kindergarten through 8th grade that are from the Rochester City School District. And we're very proud to be one of 62 National Horizons programs and we were the first to be located at a university or a college campus. This summer was trying for everyone. Julie had to move the whole program online and did a fantastic job. In fact, attendance was high, connectivity, the parents and children were very appreciative, and she was actually featured, and the program was featured at the Horizons National Call at the end of the summer for the work that she did. And we're very, very excited about Samira. This is Samira up here in the corner. There was a contest for a national mask design contest, and students from all 62 of the Horizons Nationals submitted designs, and Samira's design was chosen, one of 5, and was made into masks to help kids get ready to go back to school, which was just really wonderful. Kara Finnegan is also a leader in our community engagement and outreach. If you know Kara Finnegan's work, you know that she's about educational policy, specifically looking at poverty and educational disparities and how that impacts student achievement. Because her work is so important, especially right now in 2020, Mercedes in the Office of Equity and Inclusion has named Kara a fellow for this year to expand her work beyond just maybe what she was doing in the platform of Warner, but to get to a bigger platform to really share her work and engage in the community in a deeper way, as well as President Mangelsdorf is supporting her time so that she can partner with RCSD to work with our new superintendent, Leslie Meyer-Smalls, who I have to shamelessly put in there that she is a Warner alum. And we're so happy that these relationships and partnerships are helping us connect our work in different ways. Now, the third part of our mission are preparing professionals. And this is what most people in the university might know us about because we have large training programs. But I wanted to outline here all 9 of our academic programs in these different areas. Education isn't just teaching. It's about higher education and program evaluation. It's online learning and educational policy. In all 9 areas, we do offer various different programs, whether they're doctoral programs, PhD or EDD. We have master's programs, and we also have certificate programs, which are becoming increasingly popular as people want bite size and they want to add to their education or their professional point of view. Now, people have asked, how successful are you? How's the transition and impact of COVID? Here's what we look at. One of the measures is total credit units. So how many courses are people registering for? And this summer, we really had a banner year. We were up 23% from the previous summer if you compare. So when we're looking at the impact of moving online, this was a number that helped us feel like we weren't hurting our programs or that our students were still feeling confident or comfortable with the education they were receiving online from us. And if we look at fall, you can see we had the same level of success in terms of an increase in enrollment from the fall of 2019 to the fall of 2020. This was an important marker for us right now because during COVID, as you can imagine, we've had to make lots of transitions and that we've made the choice to be fully online. And even though we had already taught over 40 classes online before COVID, so we felt pretty comfortable, we knew how to teach online, we didn't know if the students would vote with their feet, if you will, and come. But our students seem to be engaged and are still hungry for our coursework, which is wonderful. To help prepare our faculty to provide excellence in our educational programs, we did several things to help support their success. We implemented a Blackboard template, so all Warner courses are following the same template, so the students have a similar experience when they go into their Blackboard learning units. We had a faculty checklist sharing best practices. There were several university-wide workshops on specific topics. We provided consulting with the LEDA staff and IT team so that our faculty could get one-on-one support as they were getting ready. And then we had debriefing opportunities throughout the summer. We felt like all of this, which was a tremendous amount of work that was in addition to anything other people were doing, I really wanted to point it out because we think that it is a lot of the reason why we've been successful. Now, we knew how to do that because we have a ringer on our team. Eric Fredrickson is a national leader in online learning and was already serving as our Associate Vice President for Online Learning here at the university. And so he is a faculty member here in Warner and was already embedded in doing so much faculty development and support. but he also could help us strategically think about how to approach this work and develop it. He had probably the busiest summer of anyone I know. He alone taught 10 sections of an online teaching course just during the summer with Lisa Brown. They helped 165 faculty and multiple TA instructors in all 7 schools this summer for the University of Rochester, just unheard of. And in his spare time, you might not see it too well. This is a caption from an article in the New York Times. He was being quoted by the Chicago Tribune and the New York Times for how is COVID going to impact the college experience in the forward direction. And so this was just been, Eric's just been a tremendous leader in this space. And we're so fortunate that he's on the Warner team. April Lumen has also been doing amazing work in terms of teacher preparation. It is not a new program. She has been doing it for a couple of years, but the Get Real Science program, which is a 15-month science teacher preparation program, is anchored in experiential learning. And April had some new challenges this summer when her traditional annual summer camp needed to go online and had to have kind of an at-home twist. And if anyone could do it, April could. And she took her activities and she was going door to door and dropping off supplies and materials to her students so they could do science experiments at home. But she really has leaned into the disruptive, and she's making it an innovation that COVID has presented around teaching over technology. And most recently, you might have seen some of her coverage. She has partnered with doctors over in our medical center to bring in COVID-19 classroom lessons as part of this science learning into the Rochester City School District, and is really leading the way of how to embed that as she's growing our science professionals. Our educational programs are booming, and one of them is our K-12 school leadership program. This program has expanded significantly into the southern tier and the Finger Lakes region, and they have additional targeted recruitment efforts for specific school districts. And as such, their enrollment has increased and seen a record of 95 new students just in the last year. Well, Holly and Andrea, who are leading this program, needed more help. And we are currently searching for a new faculty member for our K-12 leadership program. So it'll be really great to add someone to our faculty and help that program continue to grow. Okay, so that's our tri-part mission and a little bit of our structure. Now I want to put it into some context because the 2020 has some specific challenges, as you all know, that are shaping who we are and where we're going and how we're thinking about the work we're doing. And the important mechanism I feel like is my job to help the faculty and staff and our students is to be reflective and responsive to this context. And I have to put a little George Eastman quote in there because I'm very proud of the fact that Warner sits within the University of Rochester. And he says, the progress of the world depends almost entirely upon education. Now that might be a little self-serving, but I think it's true. And goodness knows we need some progress in our world right now on multiple fronts. And so as Warner thinks about how are we a part of the University of Rochester, I'm thinking about these core components. How can we support the larger COVID response with our undergraduate programs and with our medical center? How can we be good players in thinking about resources and adaptability and flexibility so that our whole university can be successful, not just Warner being successful in surviving COVID? I'm also thinking a lot about this online professional development and leadership that Eric Frederickson and the LIDA Center, Rafaela Barassi, Dave Miller, who's our moderator here, we have a lot of expertise in this space and we're growing in terms of our expertise. So how can we share that to strengthen all of our schools? Can our mission be not only the Rochester City School District and the professionals who are going into different workplaces, but how can we support the university in strengthening as an educational place of excellence? I think there are many, to do research in 2020 is really about interdisciplinary research and partnership. How can we do things collaboratively and connect with the other schools so we leverage all of our expertise? And how can the Warner School start defining new opportunities and leaning into some certain spaces and building relationships to do that? In the national context, so if that's local, what we're doing at the university, in the national context, this is going to shape the field of education forever. There are things that we need to consider and think about in our curricula. There are things that we need to anticipate as we move forward. And the first is really going to be this prolonged impact of COVID. There are going to be structural changes within K-12, higher education and professional development. We are going to think differently about educational delivery forever. This is a transformational piece. And unfortunately, educational disparities that existed before COVID are being accentuated or accelerated in this time. And everyone at Warner feels very strongly about being advocates for education being the change in the world we want to see. So we will need to lean into these educational disparities and help address those. There's also a pending economic crisis, which I'm sure everyone is aware of. And specifically, we're worried about state budget cuts to our school districts, which would just be devastating. And also state budget cuts to some of our public schools of higher education. The impact will be significant. Of course, the election is in a couple of weeks, and I can't not mention that the results of that election, either way, will have an impact on our educational structures, and because education is socially defined. And so we're waiting to see what that is. And specific interest over the summer is really our global engagement and our international students' ability to study in the United States. That will make a big impact, especially here at the University of Rochester. So thinking about that context in our tripart mission, I'm really starting to try to think about impact. What is our impact of a School of Warner, and how can we define what that means for us and measure it so that we can report back, so that if I'm asked to give a state of the school address next year, I can start with the impact pieces of what that is. And traditional ways of thinking about impact or measurement really could go towards things like rankings, which I am excited to say that Warner School will be submitting all of our paperwork to be US News World and Report ranked this year. I'm very excited about this process because I think we're going to do well in this process, and it will really show the productivity and the excellence that our faculty and our educational programs represent. In thinking about success, academic productivity and growth of programs, enrollment, and size of operations are all success measures. But I might have the benefit of having beginner's mind or fresh eyes, if you will, from this. I also think we need to define success by innovation and creativity. We need to define success by inclusion and connectedness and flourishment. I will feel like Warner is successful and we're having an impact if all the people and programs I just shared with you are flourishing. And at a time during COVID when we are vulnerable and we're restricted and we're uncertain of the future, flourishment almost seems like an out of this world concept, but it's my target because I believe if we're flourishing, all of this other part will take care of itself. And out of it will come the creativity, innovation, inclusion, and connectedness that make us all feel very excited about coming to work. So looking to the future, the impact, things that I'll be looking at in my role as a new dean is thinking about the impact of COVID on our educational systems and our learners. There's going to be areas of research in that space. We're going to be thinking about it from a practitioner point of view. And really thinking about how to partner with our community to support that. We're going to continue to reimagine the role of technology, which is this disruptive innovation of online learning and Zoom technology to stay connected. I think we're going to have to, and we're already seeing it, the emphasis on equity and inclusion within classrooms and curricula. This is a piece that is woven within all of our courses at Warner and is core to the work that we feel that we do as educators. I think higher education structures are going to be transforming. I think some schools of higher ed are going to be collapsing or merging. And I think from a professional standpoint, professional education standpoint, people are going to be thinking about certificates and kind of these micro degrees, bite-sized degrees to learn certain skills or point of view. And that's going to change our marketplace. It's going to change how we think about structuring our programs. And lastly, is this increased awareness on the importance of mental health and wellness in learning. We have learners who are stressed like they've never have before. All of their social structures are stressed. They are stressed about performance. And we have educators and administrators and counselors and parents who are feeling the impact on a mental health point of view from the changes that COVID has imposed in our life. And it's making us think about what are our mental health and wellness components of our curricula, and how can we embed that and be more explicit about that, and moving all of that forward. So these are some areas that I'll have my eye on in this next year, because I think that that will really inform the structure of where we move forward. And at the heart of all of this is I want Warner moving forward together, which I really feel we are. It's hard because we're all at a distance and in and out of La Chase, but not all together. But I do feel that the people of Warner are exceptional, and we are all connecting and leaning in and moving forward together as we face these challenges. So that is kind of it in a nutshell, if you will. And I want to invite Dave Miller back in to see if we want to do some questions and answers, because I'm sure there's many things that I said and did or did not include. Dave, do you want to join me?
Yes, Sarah. Thank you for inviting me back. And we do have some questions. Great presentation, and lots of great information. And we have questions about equity and diversity. We have questions about East High School. We have questions about the impact of COVID and the slowdown. So we can kind of take our pick where we'd like to start, and other questions, follow-up questions about the micro degrees that you mentioned, online education. So wherever you'd like to start, take your pick, and then
you start, Dave. You see what the questions are. You start, and we'll go from
the sequence that they came in. There was one about COVID, and how do we use the opportunity posed by COVID-19 and the slowdown to recreate schools into better places for students to return to. And I'm almost guessing, it didn't say in this question, but I'm almost guessing we could look at that from a couple of perspectives: higher ed and K-12.
Correct. I was thinking that. So first, I don't know, I always kind of go to the K-12 space. And we're seeing here just in Monroe County that everyone is interpreting and implementing in a different structure and different modality the restrictions that are coming from Governor Cuomo. And they're all having different levels of success. I think Warner's job will be to be reflective and observant of those, to help. We have several great relationships throughout all of the districts, is to help share and spread the good lessons around. Now, that being said, I think we're realizing that responses to COVID is situational and is about the context and the communities and the resources that are available. And so I don't know what the answers are. If I did, we would all be doing them. And there are smarter people who are thinking about the K-12 space than I am about this. But I think it's going to be our imperative to rethink. I think this idea of the light switch went off and then we're just waiting until we can turn it back on and just go back to where we are isn't going to be the case. I think we're going to think differently about technology forever. I know I have 2 teenagers at home, and their biggest concern is that this means that there'll never be another snow day because we'll always be able to Zoom into class. But there's something underneath that in terms of connectivity and thinking about learning, not just in these finite structures of time of when they're in the learning environment, but what is a learning environment that's more conceptual. So great question, and one that a lot of educators are thinking about, and I can't pretend that I have the answer. In higher education, I think we're going to see similar changes in that we think about students and their desire to be geographically spread out or around the world. What does it mean to be a learning community and to have a residential higher education experience, which also then bodes the question of what do we pay for and how are we all coming together and supporting. So again, the linchpin to this, and Dave, I'd say this even if I wasn't talking to you, but I know that you really care about this, is technology. As I think it's going to be, where does innovation with technology come into play in all of this?
Great, Sarah, thank you. And lots of questions starting to pop up in the Q&A box, so we'll go through these. Your thoughts and plans for building faculty diversity.
Yes.
Diversity, equity, and belonging must be important to us, especially given where we are as a society today. So your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. I'll tell you that. So I found out I got this job about mid to late May. And the George Floyd incident happened that first weekend in June, maybe last week in May, first weekend of June. And I knew that it was, I don't know how to say this, but it crystallized what my initial priorities needed to be. And I really started meeting with Warner faculty, talking about where are we with equity and inclusion? What not only does everyone in Warner care about it and think about it, but who's practicing it? Sometimes there's a gap. And what structures do we have in place to address this as a school? And so the Council for Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion was something we started back in June, July, so that we had a mechanism to help drive the change in the organization that we wanted to see. And that's not saying that we're starting at nothing, that there was a willingness and a desire, and there were activities here in Warner to talk about building an anti-racist culture and climate. But we needed a structural mechanism that made it visible and could put resources behind it. Then we created our student voice with our student ambassadors to bring them on board, because they're who we're doing it all for. They are my compass, are the students. And we're trying to bring that together, but it's hard work. It's hard work to talk about equity and inclusion, but so important. To build faculty diversity is absolutely essential. We do it from the moment that we identify that we can and will hire a faculty member. We do it in the job description. We do it in our recruitment process and how we put the job out there. We do it in our networking. We do it in faculty training of those who are going to be doing the interviews of that piece, so that we know that we're having as a diverse of a faculty pool as possible. Now, the problem is even though we get to hire this one K-12 faculty member, and I'm really excited about it, is University of Rochester is very economically concerned with the impact of COVID, in that we're being conservative. We're watching our finances. And so there was a hiring freeze. I got special permission to hire this one K-12 faculty member because the program's just growing through. So it might be a little bit until we can hire some additional faculty. We might need to get to the other side of COVID until we know that the financial model can help drive it. But that's how I think we build faculty diversity. And then I would be remiss if I said, it's not just identifying candidates. It's once they're here, making sure that we are a culture that is inclusive and welcoming and supportive to every one of our faculty members so they can flourish. I want every person that we get on the team to flourish. And so we have to do the hard work of that as well, because we have, like every organization, has some work to do to be anti-racist.
Sarah, that's terrific, and so many connections and so many opportunities along the way with that, just that one topic. And that kind of dovetails with the next two questions. And the first one is, if you received a no strings attached $20 million gift tomorrow, what would you spend it on?
Oh my goodness. Well, someone's in the hot seat, Dave. Why did you give me that question? Right?
There's so many great things that are happening at Warner, and just where do your thoughts go with that? We could even dovetail that with another question that was about your perspective about the importance of the future of programs in health professions education. Maybe there's something that happened there, something with K-12, something with the centers.
Yeah. Well, so if someone was to say no strings attached, 20 million, I would go to our core mission. And our mission is that we believe that education can change the world and make it more just and humane. And the way we do that is we build an army. Now, being a teacher is a calling. No one goes into it for the money. And to come to a premier institution like the University of Rochester is cost prohibitive. It's hard. We have to compete and to do it. So wouldn't it be wonderful if we had free tuition for students if we pick one of our programs or several of our programs, so that we can pick the best and the brightest from around the country, and we would train educational leaders who are going to be urban educator leaders. They're going to lead through technology and innovation and creativity. And we took the financial burden off of our students so that they could come and choose a career that's aligned with their heart, and not come out with some of the student debt. So that would be my idealistic, but Dave, don't tell any of the faculty that, because the faculty will all have other ideas that they'll want with it.
Well, certainly, and there are faculty ideas in the question box. I won't put any of them on the spot because I know them all by name. But There was one question here about working with extending into the community and working with the older adult population.
Mm.
And how are we thinking about serving that community better, whether it's through courses that we might offer or community building or something?
Well, I think that's a great question, and because it's really about the lifespan, right? Education is about the lifespan, and this idea that even older adults are learners themselves and continue to learn. And this might be tapping a little bit into my medical center connections and my roots back into the medical center. But we are so fortunate that we're here at the University of Rochester. And I think about the Institute of Aging that Annie Medina Whirlpool is leading, which is this really interdisciplinary collaborative effort that's thinking about the healthcare of the aging. It's thinking about the thriving and flourishment of the aging. It's thinking about the social support systems and structure of the aging, and then doing research about it. And so I think that plugging into that structure and system and understanding how we can enrich in the educational mission of the work that the Institute of the Aging is doing would be a place that I'd love to start. And I'm saying that pretending like our faculty aren't plugged in. And I already know Sylvia Sorensen and Bonnie Rubenstein's team is already connected and talking to them. And so so I would want to build and get some momentum there, because I think work's always more fun when you do it with friends. And when you're partnering with the community, it's about building networks so that you can be successful.
Okay, Sarah, I am getting the timer in the chat box, so we have time for one more question. And for folks who have asked questions and we weren't able to get to those, we can address those outside of the scope of this conversation with a reply to you. But
Absolutely.
another faculty member had a question about the health professions, and maybe some of what you just talked about could dovetail with that. You have exceptional insight related to medical education and innovation, the interprofessional, and all the great work that you've done on the med center side of things. What is your perspective about the importance and future of our programs in health professions education and the collaborative approach we have taken with the School of Medicine and the School of Nursing?
Well, someone asked that question because they wanted to ask a question in my heart. So our health professions education program, I think, is structured to really be and is a national model. There are only a small handful of schools of education that are partnered with schools of medicine and schools of nursing that have created a master's degree in health professions education. I'm coming from 20 years where I was the zebra amongst the stallions. Everyone was clinical and I was the odd educator to it. But now we're really seeing this blurring of roles and lines, and that clinicians want to have this expertise in education and understand theory and understand pedagogy and measurement in different ways. And so we have had this really strong program that I think is growing, but we can go national with it. I just think there's so much impact that we can do because the field of healthcare is built on a learning organizational structure. There was an old TV show that I loved, and it was no longer on, and it wasn't like ER, but it says, we call them teaching hospitals because if we called them learning hospitals, it would scare the patients. And I think that's kind of true. It talks about kind of power and hierarchy, et cetera, but they are learning organizations, and we need to arm them with really great educators so that they can help have high performing teams and high performing care. And that's something that I really care about. So I'm trying to get to know everyone in Warner and the structures and the things that I don't know about. And I'm on a huge learning curve, but trust me, that health professions is there. Teaming and collaborative care is going to be a part of my perspective forever. And I hope to be able to continue strengthening that within Warner.
Sarah, thank you so much for all the thoughtful responses and comments. And for the folks who did ask additional questions, we will capture those and get back to you in another way. And Sarah, so we're at the point in time in the conversation for closing comments. I will mute and turn off my camera for you to give a 2-minute closing comments, and then I'll rejoin to provide closing comments of my own.
Well, 2-minute closing comments. I feel like a little bit I might be on the presidential or the vice presidential debate, and I'll try not to make it an SNL skit. But giving a state of the school address that for a place that you've only been a part of for about 3.5 months is a little daunting, because you feel like no matter what you say, you're not capturing it all. What I've come to love about Warner, and I feel more fortunate today than I did the day I got the job, are the people and the interactions and the earnest, authentic dedication they have to the work that they're doing and to our students, et cetera. I just feel like there's never been a time in our society where we need great educators like we do now to get us through COVID and to get us through the unrest we're having and the polarization that's happening in our society. We need to have great, strong educational structures where we can have debate and collaboration and really support and connect with each other. And Warner is doing that. And I'm just so fortunate that I get to be on the team and help champion our growth and continued success. So thank you again, you guys. I know you have lots of options and choices on how you spend your time. Thank you for caring about Warner and wanting to hear a little bit more about the work that we're doing. I hope you all have a great afternoon.
Thank you, Sarah. And for everyone who has joined us this afternoon, a special thank you and shout out to everyone, alumni, staff, faculty, and friends who have joined us today. And if you'd like, please share a parting thought relating to your impressions from the address and the hopeful promise of the future and the Warner School's role in serving as a stimulus for positive change where necessary and whenever possible. You can leave that in the Q&A box. And also, if you'd like to register for the upcoming panel featuring Sean Nelms, Dean Peyre, and others from the Center for Urban Education Success, CUES, the leadership team, on Tuesday, October 27th at 1 p.m. And for those of you who would like to receive Sarah's information Monday morning message, and we all the faculty have been receiving this for quite some time, it's a wonderful addition. You will see an address in the chat or in the Q&A to make that request. And Meliora, thank you, everyone.